Skylark, Chapter 13. More letters came from Papa. The dogs missed us. Papa missed us. All our days were long days filled with green all around us and the sea. The rain should have made us happy, but it didn't. It made us think about Papa. Even Caleb looked sad now. One day, Sarah showed him the woolly ragwort that grew in Maine, but it didn't make Caleb laugh the way it used to. At night, Caleb had bad dreams. I could hear him, and I could hear Sarah singing him back to sleep. Sarah wrote letters to Papa every day. At night, she read his letters over and over again, the light from the oil lamp spilling into the hallway. Dear Anna and Caleb and Sarah, somehow it isn't so hot now. The nights are cooler and the dogs are sleeping in my room again. Sometimes Lottie tries to climb up on my bed. I love you all, Jacob. And then, one day at dinner, Caleb said something that made my heart skip a beat. It's almost time for school, he said. Fall was almost here. The air cool and crisp in the mornings as if frost would come soon. I had hardly thought about fall and school. My thoughts were about summer and Papa and the sweet smell of the prairie grass. The aunts looked at Sarah, then at Caleb, and me. Would you like to visit the school here, Caleb? Said Aunt Harriet. It's a wonderful school, Caleb, said Sarah slowly. She sighed. I went to school there. Caleb stood up and looked at us. Very carefully, he pushed in his chair. No, he said, I don't want to go to school here. I like you, but I don't want to live here. Caleb walked to the door, opened it. I want to go home, he said in a soft voice. He looked at Sarah. Don't you? He asked. Don't you want to go home, Sarah? Then he left. It was quiet. I stared at my plate of food. I could feel Aunt Mattie beside me, fiddling with her fork. Aunt Harriet cleared her throat. When I looked up, Sarah was staring out the window at the sea. No one spoke. I looked everywhere for Caleb, behind the house, in the wooden rowboat, on the rocks where the seals sunned. I found him huddled by a driftwood log in the cove. Caleb was crying. I sat down next to him and listened to the waves come in. A wind came up and I put my arms around him. Don't cry, Caleb, I said. Please don't cry. After a moment, Caleb looked up at me. I could see his eyes shining in the moonlight. I thought of Papa's eyes shining when the barn burned. Anna, said Caleb, his voice soft, will we see Papa again? Ever? Caleb waited for me to answer, but I couldn't find any words for him. He began to cry again, and we sat there as clouds moved across the moon, dark, then light, then dark again. Caleb fell asleep.